for today, you will be very quiet. And if lying on your back with your legs long and your arms resting beside you, for you, you feel I have to change from this, then do so. Stand your feet, that's always an option. You could use rollers underneath your knees. And if you also feel I need to change position to another orientation, that also is fine. But listen to what's different when you transition to another orientation. Often the baby, and that's where we're going to start with the idea of a baby has to be moved in the beginning. They have their own process of learning through sensations and gravity and experiences becoming more known in this outside world from what was their mother's womb. They're going to explore. And we're going to go into that because it's the beginning of how we found ourselves. And in the beginning of our world as infants, everything came through the mouth. Everything. And as I shared in the flyer, Dr. Feldenkrais spoke about the teleceptors that are housed in our head, in our face, in our skull. Most of them we have binary: 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears. We have 1 mouth, but there's an upper jaw and a lower jaw, or the maxilla or the mandible, that work in relationship to each other. And the movements that we make in our mouth work into the gestation tubes, into our ears, into our hearing. And then, of course, we have that other wonderful sensation of touch. And our fingers have so many sensory stimulation that the idea of this mapping of the brain, it's often referred to as a homunculus. It has an image that is and isn't like a cartoon figure of a person lying over our head like they were a hairband. And there are areas of this image, what's called the homunculus. It's a funny image of a person that is very weird, warped in a sense. What is big and what is so tiny? And the areas that we use are the areas that are bigger. So for most people, the tongue is huge. And as some of the other sensory organs develop, they increase in this idea of the homunculus. It doesn't really live there. It's an imaginary figure that scientists started to describe in mapping the brain. Most people are right-handed, and therefore the right hand is so much bigger than the left, or the legs, or the foot. But for people that were born without arms or hands, their learning will have that homunculus be huge for a foot. So listen as you rest on your back. When you choose to pause from all of this exploration, you do so. And of course, begin to listen to the contact you make and your breathing. Slowly, notice your breath. It's not a question of doing anything, but how do you know you're breathing? What is it that you know, I'm breathing, I'm alive? Is it that you feel the air coming in through your nostrils, a certain temperature? Or is there a sense of an inflation in areas? Notice the disposition of your mouth right now, where your tongue is, your throat, your eyes, your ears. And unless you have a cold or some allergies where you notice your nostrils are congested, listen to breathing through your nostrils. And unless you have to open your mouth to assist there too, feel that probably one nostril, more than the other, is a little bit more available to inhale. Can you discern that? Slowly, if you'd like to compare, take a finger and close off the nostril that you suspect is the one that isn't quite breathing in as easily. Which one do you go to? And then breathe through the free nostril. Maybe you listen to the inhalation. Is there a temperature of coolness coming through the nostrils? How far can you follow that? And then slowly let go of the nostril that you were holding. Breathe a moment. And then close off the first nostril that you felt, that's a little bit more open. Were you correct in your assumption? And then let that go. For some people, they notice air coming through a nostril more than another. The good thing to know is about every 40 minutes there's some kind of relay where the other nostril takes over. It just happens. Some people notice, I notice it goes through my nostrils, but then I lose it. There's something that happens at the back of the nostrils where there's a canal that opens into the back of your throat. Some people feel that more. The air traveling down their throat. Maybe in one nostril they feel the oxygen come in more through the nostril, but then the other nostril it becomes more, I feel it in the back of my throat going down. Notice what you do if for any reason there's something that gets your attention. It smells so good. What do you do with your nostrils? Is there an opening? What do? There's muscles that you're working to allow the nostrils to open. If I said to you, what would you do if you wanted to allow your throat to open? How would you do that? So we're bringing attention to what we do. It's an automatic response. This is the baby's first image of self. They are more primary, rudimentary movements. All of our movements start in the mouth. And the mouth, it takes a while for the baby to bring that under their control. I've often shared with many of you that process of teasing out a yawn. Was it a similar sensation when I said, how would you open your throat? Now, travel into your mouth in your self-image. So there's the top dome of your mouth, and then there's the bottom well below your tongue. And their teeth, their gums. What is the shape of the dome of your mouth? Before you do anything, whether you're touching with a tongue or a finger, or pressing the tongue against the palatine, it's called, what do you imagine the height of it? The dome, the width, the length. And the palatine starts at the very back of the top teeth. And it travels the arc all the way back to what's called the small tongue, the uvula. Can you trail that in your mind's eye? Many of you in one of the trainings, I think it was Baltimore's training, we watched a video of a young boy named Roy. When he was 17, he was in a horrible car accident. This video happened when he was, I think, 22. And they had to go in and do surgery and restructure the palatine, the dome of his mouth, but they didn't make a dome. They made like an A-frame. And he had great difficulty in phonating, speaking, communicating. Slowly, whether you use the tip of your tongue or you use a finger, begin to explore that portion of the center of your palatine, the dome of your mouth. Start at the back of the front upper teeth, and whether you're using the tip of your tongue or a finger, discern by sensation, feeling, the shape of your palatine, your roof of your mouth. What is the highest point of that dome? Is it a beautiful cupola like the Sistine Chapel? Or is it a very narrow, small tunnel? And you keep breathing while you're doing this. For some, as they start to explore, they share, and I've even noticed, it's ticklish. A ticklishness often is an indication of a contraction of muscles. And yes, there are muscles all within your mouth. Slowly, begin to do that translational movement of your lower jaw. So think that you have a little bit of an overbite. Slow and easy. Begin to bring your lower jaw, the chin, a little forward as if you had an overbite, and then release it. Now when you do that, does the palatine of your mouth change? Does something in your contact of the back of your skull shift? Does something shift in your neck and down your spine? And then whether you use your imagination, a finger, or your tongue, begin to create, I love this, it's a song by Willie Nelson, The Great Divide. Find the divide through your palatine that separates the right side from the left, and begin to explore the right side of your palatine, the roof of your mouth. And you can go all the way to the edge or the gums of your teeth. But the right side, whether you use a finger, your tongue, you imagine it also, but then use another sensory stimuli to elucidate what you think you're imagining and you're feeling. Notice as you're exploring this right side, is anything shifting in how your head is resting? Or are you pushing your head back into the floor? Your eyes moving as a result of this exploration. Your ears. Is a bias starting to develop? And maybe you'll notice that, is this the familiar side? I chew more on this side. It's easy to come to the right. Or is it not so easy? Then pause from that and see if you can discern a different sensation on the upper right side of your mouth, your cheek, your eye, compared to the left. And then slowly begin to explore the left side of the Great Divide, of the center of the dome of your palatine, the roof of your mouth, and compare, because it's different, just like the orbits of our eyes, the shapes of our ears, our nostrils, our breasts, our hip joints. Through function, they develop. And is the left side as easy to explore and examine, whether you're using a finger or your tongue? You know, there are portions of you that want to allow and come along and allow a movement. Or are you saying, no, I'm not going to move? If you had the permission, you could allow a movement to occur because it felt congruent. Then please allow. And keep listening if you need to shift you, because this is where the lesson is going to go. Slowly, can you figure that one side of examining your upper dome of your mouth feels a little simpler? Does the jaw move? The relationship of the upper jaw, the maxilla, part of the skull, and the lower portion of the jaw called the mandible, it shifts, especially if you want to use your tongue. And then slowly, 1/4, begin to explore your teeth, the insides of your teeth. Was it easier to explore the right side of the dome or the left? Choose the side that you feel it was simpler, it was easier. I didn't feel a pull in my jaw. It just felt, more available. And using your tongue or your finger, slowly begin to explore each tooth. Whether you start at the back molar and you explore the inside of each tooth, where it meets the gum, where it couples next to the next tooth, the next molar. And you're going to trail all the way slowly, feeling the sensations of the inside of the upper teeth. And when you finally come to the center, those 2 front teeth, go back and repeat, now reversing, exploring, whether you're using your finger or you're using your tongue. This is what we did as infants for the longest time. For some of us, by now, we've created a little bit of ridges or rough edges. Just get curious, and when you are exploring, if you sense something wants to move, move. It's subtle, but I've never noticed a baby that just locks itself down. When you need to rest, you rest. And then you're going to explore the inside of the upper teeth on the other side. And maybe you decide, I'm not going to start from the molar and move forward. I'm going to start from the center as I completed the last run of the side I chose because it felt easier, and explore gently. You know, we could use an analogy of, I think I cracked a tooth, and you're exploring. Which tooth is it? Or you ate something and you feel, there's a sesame seed or a piece of skin of an apple that got stuck in there. And just explore. How mobile, how agile is your tongue? And if you're exploring with your tongue, can you feel all the way down your throat, your neck, into your spine? And then you pause from that, even if you haven't completed. And a couple of times, do that translational movement of gliding your bottom jaw like an overbite a little forward, and then set it back. And then when you do that, instead of just thinking of an overbite, think about if you were really an infant, whether you were breastfed or bottle fed, what did your lips do to suckle? What did they do? The beginning entrance way into life. Your initial contact with another came through your mouth. This is where you started to find some control. And a body image started to develop, whether it was through suckling, licking, eating, and eventually talking. And then pause from that. And now take your tongue or finger and begin to explore the inside of the bottom teeth. But start with the side you felt, for whatever reason, seemed easier. Is it the same side as when you were exploring the upper teeth? Or is it the other side? Think about chewing. What happens to the upper and the lower jaws when you chew? Do they do the exact same thing? Explore gently, listen to your breathing. Have you forgotten about listening to the inhalation as it comes through the nostrils, goes down the throat? And what does the bottom inside edge of your teeth feel like? And you explore at your own pace. Was it as easy, as I see people are articulating more with your tongue than with your hands? Is it as easy? What does your tongue have to do? And how does that represent itself in the shape of you, your neck, your head, where your eyes go, how you breathe? Do you move your jaw? Do you open your mouth or close it more? When you open your mouth, if you do, what is the trajectory? Is it just the bottom jaw that opens? Is it the top portion that opens too? How do you do this? And if the breast or the bottle were being brought to you, how does the baby go for it? You can watch little birds now as they're starting to reach for their mother who's bringing them food. And then rest that for a moment. Notice your contact. Notice your breathing. And the length of you. And now come back with either your finger or your tongue and begin to explore the outer edges of your teeth. That would be between the gums and the inside of your lips, cheeks. And maybe Do you just go to the area and start examining? Or what if you started from the interior edges of the teeth and you wrapped around the very back of the last molar? Some people don't have them anymore. They were removed. They were extracted. Some of us still have some. How would you need to articulate for your tongue to explore, or your finger? How would you move the jaw, the bottom in relationship to the top, your breathing, your eyes, your ears? How are they affected? And begin to explore as if you're so curious. The dentist said that tooth was doing okay, but we're going to keep an eye on it. And maybe you asked because you were curious, well, what number of that tooth was it? And then you want to start to find it yourself through your own self-examination. Or can any of you ever think that you were someplace and you wanted to go brush your teeth and I don't have a toothbrush? And we grabbed a little bit of toothpaste on our finger and we brushed our teeth that way. Feel how you move your mouth, your dome of your mouth, your tongue, your jaw. And slowly, whether you're resting a lot or you continue and then you begin again, can you explore the outside of both the upper and the lower teeth? And can you begin to create the idea that your tongue or finger could wrap around the entire rim, edges of the upper, front, around the sides, inside edges, completing that whole loop. And then the bottom side. And just notice, is this difficult? Being quiet? Feel how the rest of you, if you allow, can soften. So there's movement that's going to happen, but it's so subtle. It's not that you are actively, I'm going to do this. You're just allowing versus resisting. And then very slowly, pause from that a moment just to rest your brain. And then just once again, to compare this trail, take the tip of your tongue and travel from the back of the front of your teeth along the center of your palatine, the dome of your mouth, as if it could go all the way back to meet the uvula, or that's called the little tongue. You know, in many cartoons, when the creature opens its mouth and you see that little tiny tongue, it's called, wobble. Can your tongue be flexible enough to slide the dome of your mouth so that you start to feel, wow, is it getting wider and bigger? Like a big cupola of a great church. Beautiful dome. And feel, does it tickle a little bit? And then see if you can take your entire tongue and press it up into that dome. Notice which portions of your tongue can find a way to soften and press up into the dome, and you stay there a little bit, and which portions of your tongue on part of the palatine just don't touch. Or you really have to focus on, oh God, why is it not molding itself to my palatine? And then, of course, you know me, I make metaphors and analogies. What if you were eating some luscious, delicious caramel and chocolate, and it just got all coated over the dome of your mouth, and you were using your tongue to try to taste it and move it further down your throat. I give my dogs peanut butter for our amusement. They love it too. And I give it to them in such a way that I smack it up to their palatine. And then you have a comedy show for as long as it takes them to clear it away. And if any of you have cats or dogs, animals that you do this with, you feel, wow, you see what they're doing. And then rest, but slowly. Bring your lower jaw forward as if you have an overbite, and then translate it a little from one side through the middle and to the other side. See what's available for you. There's one side you're able to translate your lower jaw so clear, but does it go straight across horizontally, or does it go up a little bit or down a little bit? Feel you against the floor, giving you an idea of where you're holding or moving to enable. What do you do with your eyes? And then slowly roll by way of one side. You give that up and come to sit. Sit how you're comfortable. Now, once you come to sit and you notice, well, this is the way I'm choosing, whether you want to place your hands someplace to support you or not, do the same movement you just did. Well, where are we going to start? So bring your jaw, your lower jaw forward, like you have a little bit of an overbite, and then translate, once you've translated it forward, then translate your jaw a little to one side or the other. Just feel how you do it. And do you sense a shift in your pelvis when you do it? Yeah, yawning is great. You see how this type of a lesson just quiets the nervous system? And then go ahead and imagine you're exploring with your tongue or a finger your palatine, the roof of your mouth. But then get really curious, well, what about these teeth? Oh, maybe the dentist had to take that back molar, but they didn't take the other one. Notice the journey your tongue has to make to find the molar that's still there versus the one that's not. Or maybe you had all your wisdom teeth pulled. So what about that space where that wisdom teeth, the teeth or a tooth was pulled? If it was recently pulled, ooh, you're going to feel tissue healing and gullies and divots. But if it was pulled so many years ago, feel with the tip of your tongue what you feel. Are you moving? Is there subtle shifting as you are sitting here, as you're exploring? And then leave it alone and lie down. And as you come back to rest, listen to your contact. Pay attention again to how the air comes through your nostrils. And what is it that at some point there's a canal that takes that oxygen from the nostrils into the back of your throat. It actually enters from the far recesses near that uvula back into your throat. You might notice that maybe, one nostril that felt a little less open is now starting to open. What do we do when there's something we smell and we go, what is that? What do you do with your nostrils? Compared to something, oh, I don't want to smell that. We do something. And these lessons are bringing us into a self-image of areas about us we don't even pay attention to. Slowly, bring your hands to rest and cup over your eyes. And it's often suggested that if you take the right hand to the right eye, you're going to use the heel of the hand at the cheekbone, but direct the fingers to cross a little bit towards the left forehead. And then you place the other hand equally to match it, even if you started with your left hand, so that you really seal out the light. Your elbows will be towards the ceiling. And just rest there for a minute. The ambient light is now being quieted. Your eyes are closed, but you pull down another blind and just allow your eyes to sink back into the sockets. Just notice for you, if you notice fireworks, sparks, flares behind your closed eyes. That's the activity in the visual cortex. You just rest like this and listen to your breathing. Which nostril opens more? How does that breath come in? What is the sensation all the way down your throat, allowing it to open? There's a funny little bone in the throat called the hyoid. It's just like the kneecap. They're called sesamoid bones because they represent a little sesame seed type shape, and they grow out of the muscle, the tendons of the muscle. Every time you can think of relaxing the throat, opening it, allowing the oxygen to come in slowly. Allow the throat to open, and that hyoid bone sinks down. Now slowly, still with your hands over your eyes, begin to take your eyes to the right. And again, it's the idea of the right eye goes to the outside corner, the left eye follows inward to its tear duct, and then bring them back to the neutral. Just feel how you do that. Are you just taking the eyes, or is there a sense that your head wants to come along? That maybe you even sense that your elbows are subtly shifting with the eyes, or not. And then direct your eyes to the left, and then back. And begin to alternate slowly, your eyes moving from one side back through the middle and to the other side. And then begin to take the tip of your tongue, exploring in your mouth to follow the direction your eyes are going. Follow what you do with your tongue. And because right now it's just a side-to-side movement, is the tongue within the confines of the teeth? Does the tongue move outside of the teeth into the cheek? What happens to your ears? If there was someone calling you, as you're making these movements of your eyes, your tongue, what do your ears do? And listen, because there's a gestation tube that leads from the ear into the throat. If something in your breath changes, or a nostril frees a little bit more, you go from side to side. Slowly, When you come back to the middle, keeping your eyes closed, remove one hand slowly. And then notice that eye possibly is still remaining quiet, even though there's more light. And then remove the other hand, slow, so that the additional ambient light coming through the lid, you've just taken one curtain away. Maybe the eyes can still be soft in what we call that more peripheral or open focus. And now slowly begin to explore taking your eyes up, back to the middle, and down. And once that movement of your eyes becomes familiar and comfortable, begin to use the tip of your tongue to ride along the dome, the palatine, the Great Divide, as if you wanted to go from the back of the teeth, along the dome, all the way back to your uvula, the little tongue, and then back down. Which way do you move your tongue in this exploration as you take your eyes up and then you take your eyes down? How do you coordinate your tongue? Trust that you're finding what is the most organic. And if you're not sure, knowing what you do, you have to really clarify in your brain, I'm doing this pattern, then change it. Do the reverse of your tongue of what your eyes are doing and feel it's different. And is it a little, you have to focus a little bit more, pay a little bit more attention to doing it because it's not as organic. It's possible, but where is there more muscular effort? And feel how even though it's so subtle, you're moving unless you're resisting movement. And certainly for those that are exploring on the side, it's not wrong. Gravity, however, is going to create a certain amount of weight that notice your weight towards the floor side compared towards the ceiling side, if that was a choice. It's not wrong. Because if a person says, no, I want to lie on my side, I'm not comfortable on my back anymore. Or I'm comfortable, but I want to be here. Why couldn't you explore that way? And then pause from that. And then slowly go ahead and roll to sit. Bring yourself to sit. Did you use your eyes? How did you breathe? Did you use your tongue? Or did you just give it up and start to through? And in whatever position is comfortable for you, sitting, can you cup your eyes again? But when you cupped your eyes, did you put your head down? Or could your head still be forward? Just to notice what you did with your spine. That's what's most important. And if it's more comfortable to have the head folded down, feel where you sit in your pelvis. And now slowly begin to ride with your eyes covered. Ride along the palatine of your mouth using the tip of your tongue. And follow with your eyes, your jaw, as you ride towards the dome and then the uvula, the little tongue, and then ride back to the rim of your gums and the back of the front teeth. And feel what you do. And then if I said, your whole mouth is the game, and you wanted to start to explore your entire mouth with your tongue, start to do it and notice. You shift weight in your pelvis. If your elbows are in space, covering your eyes, are they creating little circles? Where are those circles from your elbows going if they were laser beam lights? Some have them shining down towards the floor. Some have them arced further in front of them. But the movement is a byproduct of following your tongue, finding your mouth. And then slowly, keeping your eyes closed, remove one hand, then the other hand. Do you move where your head is, or do you still keep it in that same place? And slowly begin to explore your tongue around your mouth. Are you going the inside of the mouth, the inside of the teeth? What about also the outside of the teeth? When you explore the upper teeth in the maxilla, the skull, do you open your mouth or do you keep the mouth shut? When you're exploring the lower teeth, inside and outside, do you keep your mouth shut? Or do you allow it to open? And then leave that all alone, lie on your back, and rest. Notice your contact. Can you think that your palatine, the dome of your mouth, is it the same or does it feel different? Remember, when a baby suckles, where do they press the nipple, whether it's of their mother's breast or of the bottle? Where does it go? How does the tongue express the food, the milk out of it? They press it to the palatine. And they don't just press and let go, press and let go. If you've watched puppies or kittens suckle, those of you who are mothers that breastfed, or even bottle fed, or nieces or nephews or grandkids or whatever, this is how we first learned about ourselves. Developed the structure of our mouth so that the language we heard from our parents became something familiar in how the structure of our mouth, the muscles would work to pronounce the language we were born with, and how it affects our throat and our spine. And then slowly, use your tongue, use your eyes, use your nose, use your ears that guide you and lead you to roll by way of one side and transition yourself to come to stand. And if I said to you as you're doing that, there was a really big, soft Pick your flavor. I'm going to say chocolate soft custard ice cream cone. And you wanted to lick it as you were coming up. That's what led you up. And somebody was taking that ice cream cone and moving it a little further away and a little further away. But it was the ice cream you wanted. Lick for it. Go towards it. How did you use your mouth, your tongue? And then once you come to stand, think about why I always mention the teasing out of a yawn. What happens in the palatine of your mouth, in your throat, in your neck, in your chest, how you breathe, in your eyes, your nostrils, your ears? What does it awaken? Notice if in standing you feel different than what you felt before you did this funny little lesson. A funny, funny lesson called Palatine, Mouth, and Teeth. And because of all the reading I'm doing with Moshe, and he speaks about use other sensory organs to awaken when something isn't clear. I'm going with the teleceptors. Eyes, 2 of them. Nostrils, 2. Ears, 2. An upper and a lower jaw. Upper teeth, lower teeth. A tongue that connects all the way down our spine to our vertebral column. Have a lovely day, ladies. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow or the next day.